Hey everybody, welcome back to BobkeTV. Well, it's safe to say that this has been the worst year for collisions between motorcycles and the Peloton in the history of professional cycling. Came to a tipping point when Antoine de Moitié was killed in Ghent-Wevelgem earlier this spring, a real tragedy, and so the UCI, in my opinion, has been really lacking in their leadership in addressing this issue. Because of that, the CPA, the Professional Cyclists Association, which is a group of teams and riders that was put in place to promote the health, welfare, and safety of the professional peloton. And the president is Johnny Bugno, who I raced against for many years and speaks all the languages and should know the sport intimately. The CPA has addressed this issue and has come out with a few guidelines that the race promoters will need to put in place to get the certification from the CPA. First of all, and I'm going to go through the list and then we'll talk about the effectiveness or the feasibility of putting some of these ideas into action. More experienced drivers with race day experience and have a certification process based on that. A reporting culture for near misses. The number of motos, and I was surprised to read this a little bit, not to be reduced. Off-course passing of the peloton. So using off-course roads to get in front of the peloton when you need to pass. And no more than 10 kilometers per hour faster passing speed. So when any moto or team car or official's car or VIP car, when they pass the peloton, can be going faster than 10 kilometers, which is only 6.2 miles per hour faster. So let's talk about the 10 kilometers an hour faster. I mean, if you have a clear road and you absolutely have to get past the peloton, there's no reason why you can't go considerably more than 6 miles an hour faster. If there's a chance you will collide with anybody, and it's a very narrow road, perhaps then it's a decent guideline, just to go 6 miles an hour faster instead of twice as fast or 3 times or 5 times faster. And I think that theoretically is a good rule, but it has to be modified to fit the situation. And the infinite situations in professional cycling make an absolutely blanket statement of 10 k's an hour faster is maybe a little bit short-sighted. Off-course roads to pass the peloton, that's virtually impossible. To think that the race motos will be flying, and most of the professional bike racers are on rural roads. They're the only roads in the region. So to think you could get past the peloton by going out in the open roads, and you would have to be going so fast to get around the peloton that it would be incredibly dangerous on the open roads that are not closed to traffic, that don't have any closures. So that, I think that is that is a very bad idea. They've modified it a little bit to say when it's possible, when it's feasible, but I would venture to guess it's feasible anywhere from 0 to none % of the time. Moto numbers not to be reduced. That surprised me a little bit. Apparently the CPA feels that the majority of the professional cyclists don't think that the number of motorcycles in front of and behind the peloton are the problem. They think it's the actions of the moto drivers, not their number. So that I'm open to keeping the numbers the same and implementing the other reforms on a trial basis. And if there's still these problems, if there's still these crashes, then reducing the number of motors might be important, might be a critical step in a safer race environment. Tom Bonnet recently said, more motos would be better. So there's less pressure on each one to get past at critical moments, and sometimes very dangerously. I think they could try both reducing and increasing the numbers. And I'm going to get to a race recently where they've done that. Okay, reporting culture for near misses. That's a little bit tricky to implement because who's going to keep track? The riders? You're going to write down the license plate number while you're racing it? Or maybe if you know who's driving the motos, they probably have the experience and race day experience that the CPA is also asking for. So I'm not sure who's going to keep track of the near misses, but I mean, in theory, I guess it's okay, but I would rather not have a reporting culture, but I would like to have a race day experience-based certification process. And that was the first suggestion that the CPA made. And you pile up enough race days and you get certified that you can follow more and more races. So it would be interesting if the identities of the moto drivers that have caused these big crashes, that we could see their race day participation, their race day experience. And if it's lacking, then that would be pretty definitive proof that there's some inexperience within the crew of moto drivers. And I want to say this, no moto driver goes to any bike race with the idea that they are going to have a collision with the cyclist. That does not happen. There's been a lot of bad luck, I think, this year, and that's maybe the main reason why this year has been so graphically more dangerous than any previous year. But what I want to make sure the UCI is aware of is when bad luck becomes negligence. And if race promoters are negligent in hiring moto drivers, then that is a serious problem. Racing today, this weekend in Belgium, the Hestes-Pijl one-day race. The race promoters have decided to put 10 extra motors. So everybody take a gander at the results of the Hestes-Pijl. Tom Bonen's racing that, by the way. 10 extra motors, and they've developed a red light, green light system, whereby when the race course approaches a dangerous, narrow, twisty, lots of traffic furniture part of the course, there will be a red sign that says Moto. Presumably, you won't want to pass then if you're a moto driver. If you're already in the middle of the peloton, though, you want to be extra aware of the dangers ahead. Green light, moto, means a relatively safer part of the race course so that the moto drivers could pass. When they see the green light, go ahead and pass the peloton. When you see the red light, be extra aware. So that is a great idea. It comes from Belgium. And the Belgians, the cycling culture there is like nowhere else on earth. Everybody loves bike racing. Everybody knows everything about it. And I've said before on the BobkeTV, the average fourth grader knows more about professional cycling than even the pros in the peloton. They are totally devoted to the sport. So it doesn't surprise me that they've come up with what might be a creative solution that prevents a lot of the accidents that we've had, a lot of the collisions that we've had in this year in professional cycling. What is your guys' opinion? What can the UCI and the race promoters do to have a safer race environment for the peloton? Please let me know in the comments section. Please keep the subscriptions coming. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook. And if you like these videos, I need a thumbs up. Thanks, everybody. Still has a lot of wins left in his legs, but whether or not he can find the right team is questionable. And no other sport has to go through that. The big superstars of any other big sport in the world don't have to worry about whether or not they can get a job. They worry more about how much they're going to get paid, not whether or not their team's going to leave them off the roster.